Hello there. Welcome to this episode of Force Ghost Conversations. This is your host, Anthony King, and this week I'm going to take a deep dive look into Willow, episode 4, titled The Whispers of Nockmar. Before we get started, I'm inviting you to join the conversation with us. We can be found on Twitter and Hive at Force Ghost Pod. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok just by searching Force Ghost Conversations. We look forward to connecting with you on those platforms. Also, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your listening site of choice. Finally, please be sure to check out our TeePublic store to buy some Force Ghost Conversations merchandise. And without further ado, it is time to gather around the campfire for some Force Ghost Conversations. Okay, everyone, welcome back to another installment of Force Ghost Conversations. And golly gee, if this episode of Willow wasn't just absolutely spectacular, I don't know what to tell you. If you didn't like it, then maybe the show is not for you. But oof, if you weren't a fan of it in the first couple of episodes, maybe put this one on. This slow character study of examining um, the trials and tribulations of their past and facing the aspects of their characters. I mean, geez, sign me up for all of that. So we're going to get to that, of course, in our deep dive discussion portion, the spoiler talk, in the other side of our news segment, which we are heading into right now. This is our Cloud City Gossip segment, folks, and this is where we do our rundown of all the news that has taken place in the past week for the Star Wars, Lucasfilm, Willow, Indiana Jones galaxy. And it was a little bit of a slower news week, so we won't have too much time in this segment, but some big things for sure. First, I wanted to say congrats to Diego Luna, who was the star of the hit series Andor, for his Golden Globes nomination. Yes, he was nominated this past week for a Golden Globe. Luna was nominated specifically for Best Actor in a Television Series Drama. Now, we will have to tune in to the awards show on January 10th to see if he wins. Also, and the last news story for today, Patty Jenkins took to Twitter this week to discuss recent rumors and articles that have circulated regarding the Wonder Woman franchise. And in that Twitter post, she confirmed that Rogue Squadron, her Star Wars film, as supposed to be on the docket, is still in active development. Although we still do not have an official release date, this information is good as the project has not been shelved yet. And perhaps we will see the film one day soon. I'm looking forward to it. I hope it comes to pass, and I think Patty Jenkins is a fairly great director. So we'll have to see how this all plays out. And with that, folks, that is our look around the news this week. We'll be back on the other side of this break with our Willow talk. Welcome back to the Willow portion of our podcast. Willow! I am so thrilled to talk about this episode with you all. I mean, golly gee, what a title itself. The Whispers of Nockmar. Yeah, that should be like a heavy metal album cover. Do you agree with me? I think so. I can see the artwork now. You pretty much put Nockmar Castle in the background with a couple lightning bolts in there and maybe like General Kale's skull helmet in the middle there, the mask and all that. Just all that. The imagery is right there. It's very metal. I love it. Some Swedish metal band should put it into fruition. You know what I mean? That is perfect, and that just really gets at the heart of the imagery of this episode, which is just so dang cool. Okay, for the brass tacks of it all, ladies and gentlemen, this is the spoiler discussion of Willow episode 4. So if you haven't seen The Whispers of Nockmar, what are you doing? Come on, pause this episode now, go right to your Disney Plus account, pull up the episode, watch it, and then come right back to this moment in time. You have been forewarned, and everything after this point is full spoilers, so get ready for that. The episode was directed by Debs Patterson and was written by Julia Cooperman. And when you look at it at a granular level, this episode is really about confronting ourselves. And frankly, beyond that too, confronting the past. Each character goes through their own metamorphosis where they have to confront something about themselves or something from their past that they're fearing, something that they're worried about, something that challenges them or is a lingering thing that is holding on to them. And this is such, like I said, it's a metamorphosis. That's really a great term there for describing how this transformation takes place. This group comes in almost disbanded, disgruntled, confused with each other, confused with themselves, frankly, too, when they enter Nakmar. And at the end, they come out together as one cohesive unit, believing in themselves. I mean, look at the imagery from beginning to end. This episode started with probably the bleakest aspect of it all. It's so dark. I mean, they did a good job lighting it, of course. It's not where you can't see it, but it's dark. It's nighttime. There's this huge um thing, just the something that's splitting the world in two, a portal that is going to the other dimension that just hang this cloud that hangs over this dark castle with pouring down rain and lightning. This is literally as bleak as it could possibly get. Who would want to be out in this storm? Absolutely nobody. But then at the end of it, once the group faces their past, becomes together as friends, and sees the value in believing each other and in the truth, the sun is out. All that evil goes away. They're able to overcome it. And what a great and powerful message that is at the end of all this. If you're a 12-year-old, which this is really meant for, a 12-year-old and a 12-year-old within all of us, on the precipice of making choices, big choices every day out there in society, that is an important lesson to learn, folks. The fact that if we believe in ourselves, we're truthful to ourselves, we confront things about us that are scary, we can achieve great things. And that's an important and powerful theme and message that comes across through the weaving of this episode. It's brilliant, I think. And I hope that you kind of got a sense of that too. Um so I kind of just wanted to go through each character's little bit of what they're going through here. Graydon, if we start with him, he's really in the worst place of them all when you think about it. This guy is he was touched by Ballantine, so he now has the spirit of the Lich kind of possessing him. And he's going through this terrible, terrible pain. I mean, he's screaming out in absolute agony across the entire episode. He's getting beat to a pulp there at the end. Um, he's literally chained down because they're afraid of what he could, if he breaks out, what he could do. He could turn others into it. If you touch that vermiscous goo, what a what a what a crazy thing to call something. And that's how the evil would spread from one person to another, as we saw with Valentine and his gang. Yikes, that was rough. And Graydon notes that he has had some experience with demonic possession before, and that's a little bit of tip of the iceberg there that they pay off later in the episode. Of course, when Alora is able to see what Graydon went through. And he said he has those scars on him. He literally has these aspects of the past, this haunting past that he's not supposed to talk about, that still clearly haunts him. He's going through this absolute pain. They do all these rituals to him. They're trying to create this concoction that is supposed to help kind of do this exorcism to him. What's the exact the purgation of Nansham, a way to cast out the Lich from Graydon. Yeah, and you learn that through that scene there when Alora sucks the evil out of him. That he had this horrible moment with his brother, where he looked like he was attacked, like had this suffering, this attack that he was possessed at one point too, where he literally tossed his brother off off this tree, and it looks like it kills him. And which I'm sure he has that guilt of being responsible for, and that he's never good enough. He'll never amount to everything that his father wants him to be. He's the lesser son of the two. I just imagine all that, and that's partially what he's searching for on this quest is finding the aspects of him that are powerful. Why people want, like, what value does he have? What purpose does he have? And Alora kind of gives that to him. It's friendship. No, of course, there's people that are shipping the two of them that want them to have some sort of romantic entanglement, which very well may be the case. I'm not gonna disregard that or push that away. But by saving him, by giving them this moment of closure in a way, by sucking out that horrific spirit in that moment, by sharing that moment with somebody, because he was really keeping that into his chest. That's also a powerful thing. That true friendship is being able to share things with each other, no matter whether they're good or bad. And friends don't run away from that, and Alora does not. So that's a really great message there that I caught from that one. Jade is obviously haunted by her previous actions too, killing a father figure, as she did in the last episode. She killed Valentine. She ended him, as put him out of his misery, if you will. Yeah, yeah, that'll do a lot to somebody. And of course, it leads to that great line between her and Borman, where he says, "Everyone deserves one good cry per quest," which is a nice heart to heart moment between the two of them. I know Borman can and have this kind of roguish aspect to him, no emotions, if you will, but I think he still cares. I think he cares about this group, and being with them along this way. It's better than being in a cell, that's for sure. And I think he's starting to find his way into becoming a part of this group a bit more. But within her specific story here, we get one of the coolest aspects of this episode. Yes, there are frequent callbacks, weird visions, ghost like, if you will, the whispers of events that have happened in this castle or near this castle before. We get in Jade's journey an appearance of General Kale, everybody. Yes, the heavy metal villain from the first Willow film. I mean, golly gee, that got me going seeing him back. And he's voiced by none other than Sam Witwer. Sam Witwer, ladies and gentlemen, the voice of Maul, the voice of Palpatine in the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. We got Witwer back. We got Witwer and Willow. And he says, "Now you die." Oh, golly gee. Um, and evidently we get that information there that Kale was responsible for killing Jade's family long ago, which forced her to be um, an orphan and led her on the path that she is today. Whether she would have grown up in that path, whether she had her family the entire way or not, is yet to be seen. But it does set her on this path, and she has to have this little a great action fight sequence with him before closing the door on that story. But maybe she has some survivor's guilt. Maybe she's worried about amounting to something. And I think that in her crying to Borman, she's really just opening it up. I feel like she's never had the opportunity to open up about her feelings, about her past, especially when you are paired with a future royalty, a future queen. You work with the king's, the queen's royal guard and all that stuff. You're training to become a knight. You don't really get these moments where you get to be vulnerable. And now Jade gets to do that, which is a powerful healing thing when you think about it at the end. Borman, of course, is a different one. He's not necessarily a part of the group because of necessarily friendship reasons, which I've noted earlier, even though he's starting to become a part of the group a bit more. But he has this concept of like the door, right? He has that door that he can't get through. And what's interesting to me is that he thinks that there's this grand treasure behind the door. And what is it? It raises a question. What is the treasure that he can't possess? Is it the continual search for something as a treasure hunter, as a person who goes on these quests that haunts him? And he fears that he's lost the Lux Arcana, which eventually the truth does come out for that. But I think if from my perspective, and I may be wrong here, I may be looking into something, but as he's going through the episode, I think he attempts like 2 or 3 times to get through the door. At the end of it, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's Kit and Jade that open the door for him. They're on the other side, and that's, if you follow me here, the meaning of this is, what is the treasure he can't possess, or that he's longing for and he's searching for, and he thinks that's on the other side of this door, which, in my opinion, is friendship. That's what he's looking for. Even though he may not want to admit it, I think he's tired of being this loner, this person that's on his own, that is uh, constantly looking for something. I think that's what he's. I think that's what it all boils down to in the end. Now, Kit is haunted by the evil that resides within her. Her grandmother, that same blood, right? Well, the blood of the six, right? As Willow says later on, the story of the six fays that betrayed the mothers to serve the dark power that Bavmorda was a part of. Or she's a part of the line of that original six, just as Kit and Eric are, as they are descendants of Bavmorda. Which is how the crone is able to kind of coerce that within them. And frankly, that's what they're trying to do with Eric in the Immemorial Seal. That's why he was captured. And he was meant to be, he's meant to be corrupted by the crone to turn him into another Bavmorda, which will not be good. That will not be good. That's how you defeat an Elora Danon, right? You have the crone and another member of the six, plus against Willow and Elora Danon. That's how you have a big climactic battle at the end. Yikes! Yeah, that's rough. And when you're faced with all this at the same time, she's also held with the guilt of withholding the truth, right? She can see how Elora needs that someone to believe in her, to know that she can actually do something. Like, 'cause she's struggling with her self of identity. But we'll get to her in a second here. But she's holding that within. She's holding that realization, that truth that she needs to share. I thought that painting of Queen Bavmorda and that crone was wild, and you hear a bit about the voices of how um, Queen Bavmorda is the primal priestess of the worm. Woof. Whew. A lot of tip of the iceberg storytelling within this episode, folks. And we just learned a little bit more about Bavmorda herself. She was abducted by the Order of the Worm when she was younger, and the crone radicalized her and converted her to warp beliefs and gifted her with these unnatural powers that eventually, as Willow talked about, turned all those soldiers into pigs. Yikes. Yeah, that's not great. And if we get to Elora's story here now, I mean, she's struggling again, like I mentioned earlier, with her identity. Is she deserving of this great title to be Elora Danon? The power that is associated with it. Is she a leader? That's a great question. And that's something that she's going to have to enact on her own. Right? At a certain point, you have to take up the mantle. But with that, folks, we get probably one of the juiciest scenes of all. We get Bavmorda Ghost from the original film. That first scene again, folks. We get to see an extended image of Elora Danon's mother's death scene. She said, and she even sees Elora in this sequence here. She says, she is the beacon of light in a time of dread. And evidently, the actress that played Elora's mother, I think she's just called the mother in the credits, Sally Ann Law, came back to voice that additional dialogue all these years later That's really cool. And again, like I think David W. Collins said on Twitter, just goes to show you, just because you played a character so long ago doesn't mean you won't be called back into service all these years later. That is great. That is really cool. And then at the end of the day, that's what saves Graydon, is the fact that Alora has someone that believes in her, right? She becomes Alora Dannon. She's forced to make a choice, to believe in herself or to let that evil consume Graydon. At a certain point, Willow can only help you so much and can train you, but if you don't believe in yourself and you don't think that you can do it, you're never going to be there. You're never going to achieve what you think you can. But Kit provides her with a sense of understanding, a sense of belief, a sense that she could do something, a reminder of what she has accomplished already in creating that tree from the just the seed. And she says, "Throw out the recipe. You got this. Do it. I believe in you. Make it happen." She goes over there in her calm way and sucks that evil right out of Graydon, saving the day, literally turning it from dark to black, from dark to sunny skies. That's amazing. Now Willow is the last one here to discuss in terms of his character journey. And he's kind of haunted by the truth of what happened here at Nakmar. The legend and stories that are passed down say otherwise from what actually happened. Willow, of course, too, is struggling with um, the pain that has been caused from feeling the effects of magic. I know I speculated on this last week in the last episode, but clearly there's something to be said about the use of magic and how it affects people. It has a cost. There's an opportunity cost to using magic. There's going to be pain. There's going to be all that associated with it. And we got that great moment in the final battle sequence of "How will you defeat us?" And he says, "Same as last time, with my friends. The ghosts of Sorsha and Finn Rezel juxtaposed with Borman, Kit, and Jade." A real fist pump moment in the Force Ghost Conversations household. And we learn that how is actually Bavmorda was defeated in the first film. It wasn't necessarily the fact that Willow did this, what's it exactly called here? The Fibonacci hex, him and Razel to obliterate Bavmorda. No, 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 no. That is actually, as they say in the episode, she was defeated by her own carelessness. Willow utilizes the disappearing pig trick on the baby, and Bavmorda knocks over the ritual. No, the blood of the 13th, or whatever. Sorry, the ritual of the 13th. Ritual of the 13th night. And she is then transported to the realm of perpetual suffering, when she's kind of mixed with the the red liquid. I think it's a little bit of blood and hair and stuff like that. But she gets caught up in that, and that's what zooms her away to that horrible realm. So I'm glad that that's kind of cleared up from the first one, because it's a little ambiguous about what actually happens, or it's not necessarily explained. And I always assumed that it was kind of her magic backfiring, when, like, I thought that the ritual wasn't necessarily done in time. And I guess I was kind of right, kind of not right, but yeah, whatever. That is certainly cleared up for future posterity. But yeah, now they know the truth about what actually happened there. Everybody, no one is a closed book anymore. And through this process, I believe that they are going to emerge out on the end as a stronger group together. And it's certainly going to be a lot easier to form these bonds and connections when it's not pouring down rain, pitch black, all that. Now, I will say the Gales are not far behind, though, as the end episode as the end of the episode alluded to. And we even got an Eric post-credit scene. Somehow his cell is left wide open and he's able to see the immemorial city and walk around it. That has to be a trap, right, folks? It has to be something more than meets the eye. He just is not going to be able to walk around there. Maybe this is an attempt by the weathered crone to entice him, to kind of give him a little treat or something like that, to really seduce him to this dark side path. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. Let's see what happens. Um, they certainly want to corrupt Eric and turn him into another Bavmorda. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that plays out. And frankly, I want to have some more time in the Immemorial City. What is that post-apocalyptic mess? That's just wild. That's wild, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see that a lot more here. And I have a feeling that we're going to see it very commonly in the next couple of episodes because we're only halfway. We're halfway through the season, ladies and gentlemen. We're 4 episodes in. We've got 4 to go. And this has been epic. But isn't that wild? Like, I didn't think we could top what happened last week at the end credits scene with Enter Sandman. The cover of Enter Sandman by The Warning. But the rock and heavy metal fan in me just got obliterated with joy when I heard the lyrics. Because of course it's a cover. Like I wouldn't know right away, but I heard "In My Eyes," "Indisposed," "Black Hole Sun," the great Soundgarden song, the classic from 1994, and it's a cover by a Seattle artist named Nuella. Yeah, that's cool. That was really cool. It's a song that I really don't understand what the meaning is about for, but the tone of it and the spirit behind Black Hole Sun certainly fits this scene. It's usually a song that I associate with an unknown, a longing, a confusion for sure, a misunderstanding of what is going on in the world, creating a perception of reality. That's really what Eric's dealing with in that moment. He's like, what is this that's around me? What is this world that I've just been opened up to? What is everything? Who am I? Why am I here? Of anything? Where is everybody? Just that whole confusion of it all. That's something that I usually associate with the song and the feelings that I get around it. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, those are all of my thoughts for this episode of Willow. This was just another spectacular episode, The Whispers of Nockmaar. And certainly, boy, did we get a lot of whispers for sure. Callbacks to the original, a lot of lore and explaining of the Willow verse, if you will, the world of Mother World. What is magic? Who are these historical entities that are coming to play here? We've got this freaking book called the Maltrium, which is the book from the beginning of the episode, which is bound in the skin of a satyr. Golly gee, there's a lot here. A lot of great character moments and a lot of people just facing the facts of who they are, facing their past, confronting it, becoming stronger as a group, and having this means and bond by which to carry on together. It's beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. I'm loving it here. I hope that you are all absolutely loving this show too. But I want to hear your thoughts. What are you thinking about Willow? Are you loving the show just as much as I am? I hope so. But if not, that's okay too. Let's have a dialogue, a discussion about it. If you'd like, give us a shout out on all of our social media sites: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Hive, TikTok. We're on all of them. Just search Force Ghost Conversations. We'll be there in some way, shape, or form. And let us know what you think. If you also feel so inclined, tell your friends about us. Leave a rating. Subscribe to the show. Review this podcast. All that stuff helps to grow the show and add more seats to the proverbial campfire that is around the Force Ghost Conversations fire. And finally, if you're really loving the show enough, be sure to support the show via merchandise. We have a TeePublic store where you can buy Force Ghost Conversations merchandise, whether it be a t-shirt, a hoodie, a pillow, an iPhone case. We got so many different things on the T Public site that you can find. So if you're into all that and you like Force Ghost Conversations, be sure to check out that. We've got our Star Wars inspired logo. We also have our Willow inspired logo, which I think is really cool. So be sure to check out all of that. And before you know it, we'll be back before you know it with a brand new episode of Force Ghost Conversations. We've got a lot of cool episodes in the pipeline and in development at various stages. So you definitely do not want to miss out on all of the cool things we've got planned in the pipeline for you here at Force Ghost Conversations. So with that, everybody, that is it for this episode. I hope that you enjoyed it, and we'll be back very soon in your podcast sites, and we'll be back with more discussing all the stuff: Star Wars, Willow, Indiana Jones, you name it. We're here to discuss it all. So with that, everybody, may the Force be with you. Have a great week. We'll talk soon.